dreams of water, fire, and earth, analyzing the four elements. Sarah woke at 3 a.m., her heart racing. In her dream, she had been standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching enormous waves crash against jagged rocks. The water wasn't threatening. It felt almost alive, calling to her with an ancient voice she somehow understood. 3 nights later, she dreamed of fire. Not destruction, but warmth. A campfire around which invisible figures gathered, their stories floating up with the smoke into a star-filled sky. What Sarah didn't realize was that she was experiencing something humans have puzzled over for millennia. Elemental dreams. These aren't random neural firings or meaningless fragments of our sleeping minds. They're windows into the deepest layers of human consciousness, where our psyche speaks in the oldest language known to our species, the language of earth, water, fire, and air. From the ancient Greeks who built entire philosophies around these 4 elements, to modern neuroscientists mapping the brain's dreaming patterns, we've been trying to decode what it means when our sleeping minds conjure floods and flames, earthquakes, and windstorms. Tonight, we're going to explore why your unconscious mind reaches for these primal symbols, what they reveal about your inner world, and how understanding them might just change the way you see your dreams forever. To understand why elemental imagery appears so frequently in our dreams, we need to travel back to humanity's earliest attempts to make sense of the world. Long before we understood atoms or electricity, our ancestors looked around and saw 4 fundamental forces that shaped everything. Water that carved valleys and sustained life, fire that brought warmth and transformation, earth that provided foundation and growth, and air that carried breath and spirit. This wasn't just primitive thinking. It was profound psychological insight. The ancient Greeks, particularly Empedocles in the 5th century BCE, proposed that everything in existence emerged from the interplay of these 4 elements. But they weren't just talking about the physical world. They understood something crucial. These elements represented different aspects of human experience itself. Water embodied emotion, intuition, and the flow of life. Fire represented passion, transformation, and the spark of consciousness. Earth symbolized stability, practicality, and our connection to the physical realm. Air captured thought, communication, and the realm of ideas. What's remarkable is how closely this ancient wisdom aligns with what modern psychology has discovered about the architecture of our minds. When Carl Jung began analyzing thousands of dreams in the early 20th century, he noticed that certain symbols appeared across cultures with stunning consistency. Patients from completely different backgrounds would dream of similar images: flooding rivers, burning houses, earthquakes, fierce winds. Jung called these universal symbols archetypes, and he realized that elemental imagery tapped into what he termed the collective unconscious, a deep layer of shared human experience. But Jung went further. He observed that these elemental dreams weren't random. They appeared at specific moments in people's lives, often during periods of transition, emotional upheaval, or psychological growth. A woman going through divorce might dream repeatedly of drowning or tsunamis. A man starting a new career might find his dreams filled with fire, sometimes destructive, sometimes creative. Someone facing a major life decision might dream of earthquakes that literally shift the landscape of their sleeping world. Modern neuroscience has added fascinating layers to this understanding. When we dream, our brains are incredibly active, but in a very specific way. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for logical thinking and reality testing, goes largely offline, while the limbic system, our emotional processing center, becomes hyperactive. This creates the perfect conditions for symbolic thinking to flourish. Dr. Rosalind Cartwright, a pioneering dream researcher, found that our dreaming minds don't think in words or logical sequences. Instead, they think in images, emotions, and metaphors. When you're processing complex feelings about change, your brain doesn't construct a detailed analysis. It creates an image of rushing water. When you're dealing with anger or passion, it conjures fire. These aren't arbitrary choices. They're the most efficient way your unconscious mind can process and integrate emotional experiences. Let's explore what each element typically represents in the dream world, starting with water, perhaps the most common elemental symbol in dreams. Water dreams come in countless forms, but they usually center on themes of emotion, the unconscious, and life transitions. Calm water often represents peace and emotional balance. A clear lake might appear when you're feeling centered and introspective. But turbulent water tells a different story. Floods frequently occur in dreams when the dreamer feels overwhelmed by emotions they can't control. Grief, anxiety, or major life changes that feel too big to handle. Consider the dream of drowning, one of the most common and disturbing water dreams. Psychologists have found that drowning dreams rarely have anything to do with actual fear of water. Instead, they typically occur when someone feels they're drowning in responsibility, emotion, or life circumstances. The unconscious mind takes this metaphor literally, creating the visceral experience of being underwater and unable to breathe. But water dreams aren't always negative. Dreams of swimming, especially swimming with ease, often appear when the dreamer is successfully navigating emotional challenges. Rain in dreams can represent cleansing, renewal, or the need for emotional release. Crossing water, whether by bridge, boat, or swimming, frequently symbolizes transition from one life phase to another. Fire dreams operate on a completely different frequency. Where water flows and adapts, fire transforms and consumes. These dreams often appear during periods of intense change or when the dreamer is grappling with passion, anger, or creative energy. Destructive fire dreams, house fires, forest fires, or explosions, typically represent the dreamer's fear of losing control or being consumed by their own emotions. But the context matters enormously. A woman who dreamed repeatedly of her childhood home burning down initially thought the dreams were nightmares. Through therapy, she realized the dreams were actually liberating. The fire was consuming outdated parts of herself, making space for who she was becoming. Creative fire dreams tell different stories. Dreams of campfires, candles, or hearth fires often appear when the dreamer is feeling inspired or seeking warmth and connection. The mythological figure of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity, captures this perfectly. Fire as the spark of consciousness, creativity, and human potential. One particularly fascinating aspect of fire dreams is their relationship to anger. Many people report dreams where they're either setting fires or trying to extinguish them. These dreams often occur when the dreamer is struggling with suppressed anger or passion. The fire represents energy that needs expression, but the dream's details reveal whether that energy feels dangerous or potentially creative. Earth dreams ground us in themes of stability, growth, and our relationship with the physical world. These dreams often feature landscapes, mountains, valleys, gardens, or underground spaces. They tend to appear when we're dealing with practical concerns, seeking security, or processing our connection to family and roots. Earthquake dreams are among the most dramatic earth symbols. They typically occur when the dreamer's fundamental assumptions about life are being challenged. A stable marriage ending, a long-held career path being questioned, or a major health diagnosis can all trigger dreams where the literal ground gives way. The earthquake represents the psychological reality that the foundations of life no longer feel secure. But earth dreams can also be deeply nurturing. Dreams of gardens, farms, or fertile landscapes often appear when the dreamer is entering a period of growth or creativity. Planting seeds in dreams frequently represents new projects or relationships that the dreamer hopes will flourish. Mountains in dreams can symbolize challenges to overcome, but also strength, permanence, and spiritual aspiration. Underground dreams deserve special attention. Dreams of caves, basements, or being buried often represent exploration of the unconscious mind. Rather than being claustrophobic, many dreamers find these underground journeys fascinating. as if they're archaeologists uncovering buried aspects of themselves. Air dreams might seem less common, but they're often the most transcendent. These dreams frequently involve flying, falling, or being carried by wind. Air represents the realm of thought, spirit, and communication, and air dreams often appear when we're grappling with intellectual challenges or spiritual questions. Flying dreams are among the most universally reported human experiences. Nearly everyone has had at least one dream of soaring through the sky, and the emotional impact is typically profound. Psychologists have found that flying dreams usually occur during periods when the dreamer feels empowered or is transcending previous limitations. The physical sensation of flight becomes a metaphor for psychological freedom, but not all air dreams involve flight. Dreams of storms, tornadoes, or being blown by powerful winds often appear when the dreamer feels their life is being shaped by forces beyond their control. These dreams can be terrifying, but they often contain important messages about the need to find stability amid chaos or to stop resisting natural changes. What makes elemental dreams particularly powerful is how they often combine multiple elements, creating rich symbolic narratives. A dream might begin with the dreamer standing on solid ground, earth, watching storm clouds gather, air, as rain begins to fall, water, and lightning strikes, fire. Each element adds layers of meaning, creating a complete psychological portrait of the dreamer's inner state. Modern research has revealed something remarkable about these combined elemental dreams. Brain imaging studies show that when we dream of multiple elements, different neural networks activate simultaneously. The same brain regions that process actual sensory experiences light up when we dream of feeling wind, touching earth, or seeing fire. This suggests that elemental dreams aren't just symbolic. They're embodied experiences that engage our entire nervous system. Cultural variations in elemental dream interpretation add another fascinating dimension. While the basic symbolism remains remarkably consistent across cultures, specific meanings can vary. In some indigenous traditions, water dreams are seen as connections to ancestral wisdom. In certain Asian cultures, fire dreams might be interpreted as messages from spiritual guides. These cultural layers don't contradict the psychological understanding. They enrich it, showing how universal symbols adapt to specific cultural contexts. Perhaps most intriguingly, some researchers are exploring whether elemental dreams might have an evolutionary function. Dr. Antti Ravonsuo's threat simulation theory suggests that dreams help us rehearse responses to dangerous situations. Elemental dreams might serve a similar function, helping us process fundamental challenges that have faced humans throughout evolution: floods, fires, earthquakes, and storms. But elemental dreams aren't just about processing threats. They appear to help us integrate complex emotional and psychological experiences. When your waking mind struggles to understand a major life change, your dreaming mind might create a flood that washes away the old landscape, making space for something new. When you're suppressing creative energy, Dreamfire might appear to illuminate possibilities you hadn't considered. Understanding your own elemental dream patterns can provide remarkable insights into your psychological processes. Many people find that they have a dominant elemental theme that appears repeatedly in their dreams, often corresponding to their primary psychological style. Water-dominant dreamers tend to be highly emotional and intuitive. Fire-dominant dreamers are often passionate and driven by strong creative or transformative impulses. Earth-dominant dreamers frequently value stability and have strong practical instincts. Air-dominant dreamers are typically intellectual and value communication and ideas. But most people experience all four elements in their dreams, with different elements dominating during different life phases or emotional states. Tracking these patterns over time can reveal important insights about personal growth and psychological development. Sarah, the woman we met at the beginning, eventually learned to pay attention to her elemental dreams. The ocean that called to her appeared during a period when she was rediscovering her intuitive abilities after years of suppressing them. The campfire dreams came as she began connecting more deeply with friends and family, creating the warmth and community she had been craving. These weren't just random neural events during sleep. They were her unconscious mind speaking in humanity's oldest symbolic language, helping her navigate complex emotional terrain that her waking mind couldn't quite grasp. The four elements in our dreams connect us to something profound, both the universal human experience and our own unique psychological journey. When water flows through your sleeping mind, when fire illuminates your dream landscape, when earth shifts beneath your dream feet, or when air carries you above ordinary concerns, your psyche is engaging in ancient wisdom. These dreams remind us that we're not just thinking beings trying to figure out our emotions. We're elemental beings, connected to the fundamental forces that have shaped both our planet and our consciousness. Our dreams of water, fire, earth, and air aren't just personal symbols. They're bridges between our individual experience and the vast interconnected web of human understanding. The next time you wake from a dream filled with elemental imagery, remember, your unconscious mind has just spoken to you in a language older than words, revealing truths that your logical mind might never fully grasp, but your deeper self has always known.